Hey all, here at osandvdxreviews.com. You're watching part 2 of our video review of the LG Renoir, which is the 8.0 megapixel camera phone produced by LG Electronics, and the lens was produced by Schneider Krujak Lens. Taking a look at the part 2, we are going to review how the software side of things work. The first thing that you'll notice when you unlock the handset is it comes to this lock screen with a nice way of notifying you of new messages with a little bulletin board. It shows you the time and the date. To unlock the device, you basically press on the lock key for a few seconds and the device will unlock like so. You can see that the native home screen without all these widgets installed. I'm just going to delete some of these widgets for you. Pressing on the widget button, I can drag these widgets back in place. The main wallpaper is actually a painting by Renoir himself, the artist, the French artist. So it's pretty interesting because it also suits the name of the handset. The device's main home screen is composed of only one page, and you can't add new pages to the screen. You basically have a few functions that are available from this main screen. The first one is a notification drawer that you can access by pressing the top of the display. That brings up a status summary from your time, the service that you have, the battery life that you have, and you can turn Wi-Fi on and off, as well as you can turn Bluetooth on and off from this main menu. It's a pretty handy screen and it's easy to use. Otherwise, you have this nice 2.8-inch area to customize with your favorite widgets. LG has built in a few. Unfortunately, you can't add new widgets to this thing. You're basically locked into what you have in terms of LG's provided with you. Pressing the widget key gives you a list of all your different widgets, including a calendar widget, a clock widget. If you want to have your clock widget on the main screen, you would drag it up here and then set it to the appropriate place. You also have an analog clock, just like an Android. If I want to use this, I would again use my fingertips to drag it out, and it's going to expand a little bit. There's also photo albums, FM radios, music, contact notifications, weather widgets, and the such they all work pretty well and they're pretty responsive, so we never really had any issues with getting these widgets to work, and they all look pretty nice. An interesting thing that you'll notice over time is that although this is only one screen, you are able to drag the screen up and down if you want to add more widgets and make the screen longer instead of more horizontal with different pages. On the bottom of the device, you have access to 4 shortcut buttons, and they correspond to the menu, the messaging, the phone book, and the call dialer pad. Pressing the call dialer pad takes you to the dial screen. Buttons are pretty large and responsive. The handset has haptic feedback to tell you when you're dialing something. You will notice that the touchscreen itself is very responsive. It's fairly responsive, but again, it's resistive touchscreen instead of capacitive. So you do need to press a little bit firmer than usual. And we found that the buttons were large enough to press with our fingers, and no stylus was really required. As far as battery life is concerned, the LG Renoir had a great battery life, especially for such a feature-packed smartphone device. Our battery lasted us around 5 days before we had to recharge it, and that's with moderate usage with Wi-Fi, browsing the web, taking pictures, and playing games and other features. In terms of call quality, we found that it was also very good. We never were really in a place where we never got any reception. Of course, this is an unlocked handset. We currently don't have a SIM card in there, but we found that, again, call quality was very good in terms of reception. The quality of the calls were also decent. The microphone picks up sound well, and we could hear receivers with a loud speakerphone and a good earpiece that's located on the top of the device. If you want to, you can also create video calls with a built-in front-facing VGA quality camera on the front. However, this is limited to using it via 3G or your GSM network, and this can't be used for any other applications via Wi-Fi that's built in. You can install third-party applications that will extend those features, however. So taking a look at the next function, which is the phone book, you can press on that, and again, you have a list of all your favorite contacts, and you can scroll through them using kinetic scrolling. Or if you don't want to use that, you can use the scroll bar on the side to drag around, and you'll see letters as they appear. Or you can search their names using this search bar. This is a multilingual phone, so it has multiple languages you can use to input text. Of course, we're using English right now. We can use the phone's accelerometer to hopefully let it rotate. It's not going to work in all applications like this one, for example, but you can use it to type away, and it's going to use predictive text to show you what's currently happening. The next feature, SMS text, does have the accelerometer enabled, so you can create a new message using an accelerometer. Again, text messaging works pretty well. You can also create messages via email. And again, I'm trying to rotate the screen, trying to take a look at why it isn't responding to the accelerometer. Oh, there we go. It finally rotated. You can see the accelerometer makes the device a little bit easier to input text, and it's very responsive most of the time, and it's great also for games that use accelerometer, like in car racing games and stuff like that. The size of the keyboard is, however, a little bit cramped and a little bit small. We're not fans of the layout. Thankfully, though, things are fairly accurate, and again, predictive text is on here, so as you type, the handset will tell you, what you're trying to say, most likely, so it is a nice feature to have. Overall, it's not the best text messaging experience out there, but it definitely works fairly well. You can see on the bottom here we have 3 talk and end keys. Also in the middle here we have a multitasking key. Pressing this will take us to our list of currently open applications. First, it's going to show us our 9 favorites that we can hop back and forth into. And over here is our currently open applications. Right now we only have the home screen open, so it's only going to display that one application. Taking a look at the main menu, we'll see that the navigation and organization in terms of this is pretty much the same that we've seen on the LG Prada and past handsets before. It's pretty organized, and it's a nice way of organizing content, but it's nothing too fancy. The first tab is dedicated to communication-related applications, such as dialing people, speed dials, contacts, call history, and creating emails and new messages for people via MMS and text. The second one is dedicated to entertainment, and it features the gallery, My Stuff, which again features images, sounds, videos, games, flash content, and documents that you might want to edit with the device. It features the 8-megapixel camera, the video camera that can capture video at slow motion and fast motion. We have a movie studio for editing pictures into slideshows and creating movies with them. We have an MP3 player on here, an FM radio, and games and app drawer. In games and apps, we'll also find Gmail or Gmail in addition to Google Maps pre-installed. In utilities, we'll find the web browser, the organizer, which includes different functionalities like calendars and settings, and also a pedometer is built on in for calorie burning. We have a memo pad, we have tools, and you'll see again that jogging buddy there that I talked about. We find voice recorder, email, and Google. And finally in settings, we have profiles, the screen settings for adjusting the sensitivity and also for the brightness. We have also some call settings and touch settings. Let's go and turn Wi-Fi on for a second and show you how the web browser works. Again, when you're connected to Wi-Fi, you have the ability to hop back and forth between using the Wi-Fi to browse the web or using your data plan, so it's fairly easy to use in terms of that. Web browsing speeds are also fairly decent. As far as smartphones go, it isn't the fastest that we've ever used, but we did find that it was fairly adequate. If we wanted to go to, for example, I'm going to type here. Hopefully the keyboard's going to show up. And right now, there we go. I'm going to go to google.com. Google, it's going to automatically correct my misspelled text messages. And trying to find the dot button, but I think I already have one. I've already typed this here before. So right now it's using handwriting recognition, so I'm just going to try that again. Google.com. And again, it works fairly accurately. So let's connect. And again, it's going to connect to Wi-Fi. We're going to connect to this, and it's going to be ready to browse the web. And hopefully, there we go, we're back to google.com. Now, because this is a resistive touchscreen, again, we won't be able to have multi-touch or a pinch to zoom gestures. In order to zoom in and out, we have to use that by pressing the magnification key on the bottom of the screen, which will bring up a zoom bar. It works pretty well, but again, it's a little bit jumpy, and it's not as easy to use as, again, a pinch to zoom gesture, but it works. And you can see the accelerometer will also work pretty well. The LG Renoir's web browser is very fast and responsive over Wi-Fi networks, and it does display pretty much all the pages that you would really want to go to, but it does load the mobile site instead of the full site. If you wanted to go to a full site of a web page, for example, the New York Times, you have to toggle between that by going to the bottom of the page and selecting full page instead of the mobile page. And again, the browser is not as strong as that of Android or iOS or any other smartphone platforms out there, but LG is working on it, so they are improving. So that's pretty much the browser experience. Pretty fast, as you saw there. Some other notable features that we can see, I'm going to show you the jogging buddy. It's just going to beep every single time you set a goal of like 10 seconds or 10 miles, and after you've jogged 10 miles, it's going to sound for you, and it's a pretty nice little pedometer tool that works fairly well. It's great for sports enthusiasts out there. We have a world clock that you can check out new clocks and add new clocks by. You can add a city on here to add clocks. Again, you have kinetic scrolling on here. Otherwise, again, a fairly fairly unassuming device. Not too many new features on here. The FM radio works as expected. The gallery works pretty well. I'm going to show you the games on here. You have 2 games preloaded. It includes Flying Dices, which uses accelerometer to simulate a dice experience. For example, if you shake the phone like so, you're going to roll these dice, and you can see what numbers you have. And they have specific games designed for this, like Snakes and Ladders. And if I press on that, you can see you have Snakes and Ladders here, and they're all pretty fun. You can play via the computer or via other friends and family if you have those available, if you have guests available with you. And again, the other game is basically, again, just using the motion sensor to tilt back and forth, and it's pretty fun and pretty intuitive to use as well. So the last feature I'm really going to show you here today is the camera, and it's of course the most anticipated feature of all. I can safely say that the 8-megapixel camera is very, very strong. Whether or not it's as good as I expect it to be, I actually think there is room for improvement. To focus into a subject, we press the key on the top of the phone, and it's nice and recessed, nice and protruded, so it's easy to grip onto. Pressing it once will autofocus it, and then pressing down again will take the image. As far as taking images go, it takes a little bit longer than I really wanted it to be, but expecting the 8-megapixel lens on here, it is acceptable, I guess. Colors tended to be a little bit muted, and details, however, seem to be pretty strong, and we were pretty impressed with overall how clear the images looked, especially after loading it out onto our PC. And that's because the screen on here isn't the best resolution, so it's not HD quality. And there you just saw the Xenon flash. As far as flashes go, it works extremely well under darker conditions. Unfortunately, indoors it seems to overshadow a lot of the colors on the product that we wanted to take a picture at, and sometimes a little bit too strong, and it makes things all glary. But it does work, and it's very, very bright, as you can see. Otherwise, you can record video, like we talked about. The camera also has different modes, including smile detection mode, and it will automatically take the picture if you are smiling wide enough. It also has a beautify mode that will remove acne and other pimples from your face to make you look a little bit more beautiful. It also has a blink detection mode, so it will automatically take a picture when you're not blinking, and just those little tidbits that make the device a little bit more smart and not just as generic as some other camera phones out there. You can edit the image directly on the device, and when you're done, you can also save it, and it's a fairly decent experience. You can also send your images via MMS text or via an email document to friends and family to share, or upload it to the web, like here. Overall, it's a pretty enjoyable experience, and things work very well. There are a ton of settings you can play around with if you are curious about that. Again, settings, you can do size of the shots, the scene modes, the white balance, the ISO settings, the color effects, the blink detection that I talked about, all of these different things, geotagging, turning on the GPS on and off so that you can know when you took the picture and where you took the picture. You can also swap the camera. So now it's going to take pictures via the lens in the front. So now you can see my hands. And the front-facing camera is decent. It's not as good as the back. It's obviously not autofocus. So you have to expect that it's not going to be as good, but it's great for video conferencing overall. So at the end of the day, the LG Renoir is a very good handset, certainly by LG standards. It's something that's unique. It's different from any other handset we've really seen on the market, and it offers a great camera experience, a great multimedia experience. Playing back video is also a joy thanks to DivX and Dolby Mobile built on here for video playback experiences. But again, I do think that some areas could be improved by LG. Namely that the screen can be a little bit larger from 3 inches, and unfortunately the fact that it's resistive can be a little bit tedious sometimes. I thought that the virtual keyboard could be larger because it was a little bit cramped and small while I was typing. But overall, it's a solid handset with a pretty good web browser and good camera and a good set of games and features. So thanks for watching here at osandvtxreviews.com. That was just a video part 2 review of the LG Renoir Unlocked version.